So, welcome to part 2 of this episode. Only about 14% of entrepreneurs in India are women. Why?
I always believe change is possible, and change is possible. It's a question of is it slow or fast.
What's the one unpopular belief you hold about the startup ecosystem?
We need stronger boards
Okay.
and more emphasis on governance.
In terms of innovations, do you think there is enough breadth and depth?
Technology is also like a perfect storm. It changes social structures in ways that we can't actually almost always imagine. I think investment in core science has to precede by decades before you say, why hasn't this happened?
What about the quick commerce companies themselves?
In terms of being
Profitable?
the quick commerce businesses will not be high margin businesses. And you need to think and operate that.
What are your views on D2C?
More D2C companies will succeed, okay? But not necessarily with venture capital funding.
So another industry, gaming industry.
See, India has largest number of gamers.
Right.
What you can do is regulate it, govern it, make sure that you protect the people that need to be protected.
So a startup idea you wish someone would build. Welcome to part 2 of this episode with Vani Kola. In part 1, we talked all about the startup ecosystem, about entrepreneurship, about founders, about importance of raising equity at the right time, about the challenges of delegation, and so on. And now, in this part, we will dive deep into the future of technology, technological innovations, quick commerce, e-commerce, gaming industry, women entrepreneurs, and much more. So, welcome to part 2 of this episode. So, let's talk about a few sectors where you have also focused in investing. You have this Kalaari report that talks about the decade of opportunity. You've said that this decade belongs to India, especially on the technology side. What makes you think that?
Entrepreneurship is a genie that's out the bottle.
That's
It's
right.
not going back into the bottle.
Yes.
We have a very large, young, digitally literate
Yes.
population that's also aspiring. We have a very large consumption economy. We also have had the fortune of a democratic government inherited in the last 70 plus years that functions.
Yes.
We have a functioning law and order society, all of which enables economic creation. So the fundamentals that enable creativity and innovation are there solidly in
Yes.
place. We are in an unprecedented place of disparate but interrelated technologies that's going to change everything, how we work, how we interact, how we live, for the better and also, of course, for the worse. And there is a generational shift in technology, AI, robotics, space, space tourism maybe, living in space stations, and a lot of things are going to change in ways that we don't today, perhaps going about our daily life, think and envision, because you have to be a bit of a philosopher, a bit of a technologist, a bit of a sociologist to map all this and look at your crystal ball. But it's also a great opportunity for founders who can see some piece of that. I don't believe anybody can see the full piece of it, can see some piece of it, and be part of that transformation engine. It's going to happen inevitably. It doesn't matter. You can be more an enabler, you can be a willing participant, you can be a creator, but those are the choices we have. So the growth, the Techade is going to happen regardless. What role can you play in it can be somewhat more a choice.
So the foundational blocks for the Techade to happen, I agree with you, are there. Are digitally, literate population, the young population, the aspiring population, all that. Yes, these are great foundational blocks that we have. But in terms of innovations, do you think there is enough breadth and depth? And what I mean by it is that, yeah, we are very good at creating applications, we are very good at creating wrappers, but we don't have a deep seek. I mean, we're not creating those deep tech foundations. When do you think India can have its own deep tech giant?
I'm more of a philosopher on all these things. Okay. The biggest human invention was Gutenberg with the printing press.
Okay.
Maybe we should have had a Gutenberg. We didn't. That doesn't mean anything. After a certain point, core inventions become commodities to everybody. All right.
Which is happening even now.
Yeah.
That's what
and
we are using. Yeah.
If you at least can't be that, call it Gutenberg, core inventor, at least know how to use it well.
Which we do.
And you can still create a lot of value with that. Okay. We didn't create a steam engine. That doesn't mean, and they were all seminal, your deep seeks of today. It doesn't mean we didn't create a shipping industry. You didn't, you can go create all that, right? So if you can, of course, great, make the core inventions, but they require a deep, long-term public-private partnerships.
Okay.
If you want to be winning gold medals in Olympics, it's an intentional 20-year investments where you start with kids that are 6-7 years old.
Today.
You can't today say, I want to get gold in next Olympics without having a long pipeline of investment. So, you need long-term research, science, investments. So, I think investment in core science has to precede by decades before you say, why hasn't this happened? Why? AI has been around for 60 years and you need that institutional memory. No discovery is a standalone. It comes on the giant of small incremental progress and many colossal failures. Penicillin wasn't discovered one day or anything else. We don't think of it that way. We think DeepSeek just happened overnight or ChatGPT happened overnight. It did not, So foundational core technologies will require a deeper shift in how we fund research and science as core investments. But I lived through many technology shifts. Maybe we didn't have the microprocessor, but it doesn't mean we can't use computers and do something great with it, invent something over it. I don't have to invent the microprocessor to create a browser. If I couldn't create a browser, it doesn't mean I can't go create an internet company, right? So a browser today is a commodity, although of course it was very valuable at the time it was created. So there are people who will capitalize foundational technologies. So we think of innovation, we have a wrong definition of innovation. Innovation is not just one leapfrog. Every leapfrog spawns many children that are also huge behemoths in their own, So you can innovate on cost. You can innovate on many levels of competencies to really make it a viable outcome. So much like we talked about founders, but nations also need to think about what are my strengths. You can't chase something that is not yet today your strength. You can plan and invest for it for future and be patient for it, but you can be deliberate and intentional about what your strengths are today, and you can capitalize on that, right? So the time for deep seek would have been you were investing 15,
Years
20
ago.
years back, right? So you can't overnight do that. Since you didn't invent 20 years back, invest into what you need for the next 20, 30 years. But at the same time, leverage this as if it's a commodity and build what is next, right?
That's right.
Thousands of valuable internet companies have been built. So if you can't invent the internet, go invent 50 of those companies that are very valuable on top of the internet.
That's right.
You know,
No, that I think we are doing very well,
Yes.
actually. But let's also hope
we can do
that
better.
we can do better, and we
Yes.
can think of the next 20 years and, maybe start investing in something what would create a
See,
foundation.
that will not be an achievement of any one person.
Yes, it cannot be. The ecosystem has to work towards it. Talking of another sector, e-commerce, quick commerce, don't you think this actually, and for the good, moved faster and much more than what we all expected? And what do you think its future is today in India?
E-commerce, quick commerce are here to stay. They're not going away. Some companies may succeed, some companies may fail. But everything goes down to customer demand.
Yes.
A lot of cities tried to ban Airbnbs and Ubers, whatever the equivalent of those are. But when the customer wants it, you can regulate it, but you cannot deny the customer what they want to spend their time and their money on. They'll find other ways to go do that. But I'm saying at the core is the consumer, or the customer. The customer could be a business also. So when the consumer is willing to pay for something, then that will get capitalized. So quick commerce is a consumer mindset. What does it do? It frees you from planning, right? I don't know. I don't know much of your childhood and upbringing, but I still remember going with my father to the mandi, and he would buy everything we needed for the year, in the season. So we got it at the right value, right? Tamarind, chilies, whatever. And then my mother would dry it and store it, and there was a food security, right? That was such a big thing.
Yes.
And my mother will make pickles for the whole year, and it'll be the whole day activity. And there's a certain nostalgia about the activity, the smell, the
pickles, the papads,
everything, right? So my point of that really is nobody is doing that today. We are in a convenience culture, right? Some of it is good for you. It gives you time back. Some of it is bad for your health. So hopefully you're conscious about it. But setting that aside, so whether it is food delivery, whether it is quick commerce, they are a representative of the social needs of current society. And more of specialization within that will probably even happen. We had horizontal e-commerce. Now everything is omni-channel. So vertical e-commerce will continue to happen.
No, but it's all very great for the customers, and therefore it will continue to happen. But what about the quick commerce companies themselves?
In terms of being
profitable?
Yes, some companies won't succeed. But wherever a customer is willing to pay for something, somebody will find a way that is value accretive. Okay? You can run contract chip manufacturing businesses, run on 3-4 very thin percentage margin. You have to be a different kind of a CEO to run a company that's a 5% margin business versus a 50% margin business. It doesn't make one business better and one business worse. You just have to know the dynamics of what you can play.
But still 5% margin. I mean, many of these would be working at negative margin today.
At a certain scale.
Okay.
But they have to have a scale at which they know how they can never be more than a 5-8% margin, because that is your value.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're working on the volumes.
Volumes.
Yeah.
No, but also more importantly, your value add that the customer is willing
Yes,
to pay you
yes.
is that.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't operate as if you're a product margin business where your margin could be 30-40%. Right? So, the quick commerce businesses will not be high margin businesses. And you need to think and operate that way. And if you do, some company will succeed.
And what about many companies now thinking of D2C? And many have made mistakes there as well. What are your views on D2C?
More D2C companies will succeed. Okay? But not necessarily with venture capital funding. You can run a very good D2C business that doesn't require venture capital funding because venture capital company requires scale.
Yeah.
What is a D2C business? Every boutique in Linking Street is a D2C business. Okay? Know your customer, know your product, do that profitably.
Be right there. Yeah.
That's it. Right? So, the question is, while you may have a profitable, let's say, one restaurant, it's one thing to run that. It's another thing to say, I will run a KFC, right? That's a very different business, right? I'll run a large QSR. That's very different business than running one successful restaurant, right? In fact, as I already said about my experience as a founder, if you're running a large QSR, you're probably not doing it for the love of the food. You know, it's a different kind of a business. You're thinking procurement, you're thinking supply chain, you're thinking retail, you're thinking a lot of things. But if you're running a single restaurant, you're probably most likely, because it's a painful job, doing it for the love of the food.
Creating.
I don't think any CEO running a large QSR can come and run one single restaurant, you know. But you could become a large entity if you continue to go through that self-transformation as a leader. So the question of D2C is that, what is the vision of your scale? And accordingly, you have to think about capital invested. And accordingly, then you have to think about capital sources. So I think if you are a creator and you don't want to be anything more, then you need to
stick to that,
you know. So D2C has a probability of easier success because you can always find somebody who wants that lovely blue sari. You can always find somebody who wants the silk sari. So, but do 1 million people want it? That's, or do you know how to find those million people cost effectively?
Yes.
Right? And make money out of it.
Yeah.
So, India is in such a fun place from consumer awareness and consumer willingness to experiment, right? That wasn't the case 30 years ago. Insta is changing their algorithm every few weeks and they make it opaque. All those distribution channels have changed. Means to reach the customer has changed. Of course, all that is there. But you're in a better position to find that long tail customer than ever before. And customers are craving that personalization.
Yes.
And they're willing to pay some premium for
that. So another industry, gaming industry, you know, sports, fantasy sports and all that, initially they were at their infancy, have gained a lot of momentum. Many companies have grown to big sizes there. But now there are questions about this business, you know, itself. And then, of course, talks about increasing GST and so on. But what are your views on this business?
See, India has largest number of gamers.
Right.
As long as people want something, they'll find a way to go get it. What you can do is regulate it, govern it, make sure that you protect the people that need to be protected. You can say, you know, I want to control information, but we live in a modern world. We can ask food companies to put food labels very clearly. And you can't completely say, don't eat junk food. It's not good for you. Human choice. We are here to protect. We are not here to dictate. And even if we tried, it won't work. Yes, you, much like our capital markets, can't be free for all, and you want information transparency. You don't want to create exploitation. All of those are, of course, important. However, that comes down to policies, regulation, but you can ban. I'm yet to see any society succeed by banning. Like I said, it's not my job, nor thankfully anybody has entrusted me with the responsibilities of deciding what is right
Yes.
for a large society and for a nation. The people that are interested have to go do that job. And their job of serving is around ensuring systems, policies are equitable to everybody in a way that people make and capacity to make informed decisions. We spend money on entertainment, maybe that's good, maybe it's bad. We spend too much money on our clothes, maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. Maybe you're spending too much time on video games. We are all spending too much time on social media, but what do? Will you ban social media? So, gaming and game thinking is here to stay. Formats may change. You can call it fantasy, you can call it casual, you can call it this, you can call it that. Much like OTT, it used to be you went to a theater to watch a movie, and there was also a sweetness about that. Today, of course, you can binge watch. What are you going to do? Are you going to change the programming such that nobody binge watches? Is it good for them? Probably not. So I think you have to allow freedom to choose. We are all watching what we want.
Yeah. Maybe even on our phone and somebody on
That's
TV.
what I mean, in your room.
Yeah.
And on your phone,
Yeah.
most likely.
Yeah.
My kids don't read a newspaper,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
read news,
Yeah.
probably on Twitter. But, so I think these will change.
Yeah.
And we have to understand the shifts,
Yeah.
the social shifts, and prepare for that in a way that it is socially equitable.
And as long as people are aware and they are making an informed choice, I think that's so broader protection so that people don't become
And some
gullible.
guardrails,
Yeah.
right? KYC,
Yeah.
age,
Yes.
alerts. I mean, there are a lot of things you need to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even if you go to a bank and want to withdraw everything online, they'll ask you, are you sure? Is it a mistake?
Yes, yes.
But if you want to take it and blow it,
it's your money.
It's your money.
Yes. Let's shift a little bit to women entrepreneurs.
My favorite topic.
Yes.
Or dilemma, rather.
So we talk of, all this growth of the startup ecosystem, entrepreneurship in India and so on. But only about 14% of entrepreneurs in India are women. Now, why?
Well, only 1.5% of them are women founders who are CEOs that have gotten funded. I wish life had simple answers to all problems. I think some of it is very structural and hence it takes a lot longer. Some of it is also internal to a certain framework and mindset that we talked about in the context of entrepreneurship itself, women or otherwise, which we have seen very rapid changes in 20 years. So, I am born optimist, thankfully. So I always believe change is possible. And change is possible. It's a question of, is it slow or fast?
Isn't it very slow?
It is, but past doesn't define future. So I think it can be fast also. So structurally, women lack access to the same networks to begin with. They, lack role models that say this is okay. There is definitely structural limitations to access to funding. So structural things require much more thoughtful efforts to fix them. But we can fix them, and that's where you will get maximum yield. There is also internal constraints, I think, that are conditioned. Those are much more in your individual capacity to change. I grew up in a family where girls' education was very highly prioritized by my mother, who was not that literate. My father also, but mother was the champion for our education. I don't know who we would be if she didn't. And always the home environment was, yeah, go do what you want to do. There wasn't a fear instilled into who you could or could not be. And I haven't, until I got older, thought about how much that shapes your own inside to I can do it. The only way you overcome structural and external hurdles is because you have it inside.
So, the internal and the structural. I think internal is changing quite rapidly now.
Not really.
No,
Not
I
really.
think the families are more and more in that environment that the girls can also do what they want. I
Yes,
think
to
the
a
girls,
degree.
but that's, I think, changing faster than the structural, as you said, access to capital and so on. Why is that a constraint? Why should that be a constraint? Access to capital to women vis-a-vis access to capital to men. Why should that be a issue?
What does capital want? Capital wants ambition. Capital wants scale.
So you mean women don't have ambition?
I don't think to the same scale. And if they do, God forbid, they better be very, very, very strong, because you are going to be judged. Let's be very clear.
Yes.
You
that
are
yes.
going to be put in a microscope.
Yes.
So be prepared for it.
That's
right.
Yeah.
And you need a pretty tough skin. Apart from needing your own support networks, which isn't going to come from outside necessarily, a woman's ambition, whether we want to acknowledge and agree or not, will always be judged a little more than a man's ambition will be. You have to walk on a much thinner razor edge, because your mistakes, and we are all human, prone to mistakes, so your mistakes will have far more defining consequences than mostly for men. It's reality.
Yes.
Okay? So it requires you to be more. And what you're talking about, yeah, families want, yeah, they do want their children to go to college, and they do want them to work to a certain degree and all of that. But I don't know if they really want a very ambitious daughter. Honestly, I don't know.
And is that good or bad?
Who knows, right? I mean, what is good, what is bad? I think at the end of the day, we have to triumph because and despite, to find our own meaning and self.
Yeah, but then
right?
look at your journey, right? Your journey, everything was, the odds were not always in your favor. I mean, if you did engineering from Osmania University at a time when you were 6 girls in a class of what, 400 students, and then built this inspiring journey, I mean, you did it despite.
But I wanted it. Okay?
Yeah.
I wanted it. I wanted to be an engineer.
So what should we tell these young women, when they want to break through? What should we tell them? That they don't seem to be wanting enough, or what is it that we have to tell them?
Look, if you don't want it, it's okay also, right?
Yeah.
But that's the question. So most important thing is live life without regrets, live life without guilt.
See, if you don't want it, that's true for many men also.
Yeah.
Which is I think there we shouldn't distinguish between men and women.
Yes.
You want it, you should do it. You don't
Yes.
want it, you should not. But I'm only talking of that segment who wants it and yet not able to do it.
If you want it badly, you will find
You
a
will
way
find
to
a
do
way
it.
to do it.
You know,
Yeah.
you will find a way to do it. You have a price to pay.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem.
But that you should be willing to pay that price.
But there is a price, and you know, and maybe it isn't for you feel like a big price to pay.
Because you've made that choice.
You make that choice, and you
Yeah.
understand the choice comes with something. You know,
Yeah.
and so I know a lot of girls ask me, you know, how to leave my children behind, work. I've never felt guilty. I've explained that to my children, and hence they're shaped in a certain way. I think of myself as a great mom. I don't need that label from somebody else.
Yes.
But our family works in a certain way. I can't always be home for them by the time they come back from school as my mother was.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Was it lovely? Of course it was lovely, right? My mother was always there. Now, what was the price she paid to do that is something the kid is not asking. And only much later, I could talk to my mother about, was this what she wanted, right? And to give that, what did she have to forego? How did she make peace with that, right?
Yeah.
We're not even having that conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's thrust on you, you know, and you make peace with it because you have no other choice.
Yeah.
There is no way I can be running a startup and a large company and be able to be home at 3 p.m. It's just not possible.
That's right.
You know, then I can't also every day go to bed feeling guilt. So you have to then create what works for you. And as a family, we found those answers. What those answers are that work for us.
What are the support systems that you relied on?
First of all, you know, even as a founder, without generalizations, there is a professional life, there is a private life. You have to know that they are two very different and distinct things. If possible, you can't have chaos in both.
Yes.
If your professional life is going to be in a place of chaos, which it is going to be if you are in a scale and creation, try everything you can to keep sanity and stability in your personal life, if you can, right? I was just lucky. I had parents who were extremely supportive. They were very proud of what I was doing. And that itself is a big, you know, gift.
Yeah.
I had a partner, as in my husband, who 100% trusted and took pride in who I was and what I was doing. So I wasn't battling that every day to justify myself and to apologize for what you are achieving or not. So while we can't always assume, if you have a supportive family, 50% of the battle you have won. If you don't, you can probably still find solutions, but a lot harder, I think. And I got lucky on that lottery, right? Second, we are conditioned, at least in the world I was raised, to try and please and be responsible for everybody's happiness. You can't do that. As a leader, somebody will always be unhappy with you. But you have to learn how to compartmentalize. And I think I learned that early, and it's very important to compartmentalize. I never take my work home. When I say work home, my emotions of work home. I don't mean that I don't take a white paper home to read and correct or whatever.
Yeah. You don't carry it in your mind.
Yeah, and I don't bring home to work. And I can truly go into a container. And it's important because you are playing so many roles.
Yeah.
And as a woman, you will inevitably play so many roles, which is more than the man ever will.
Yeah.
And it would always be funny in COVID time, because I'm home, right? My cook will come and say, "Mom, ma'am, मैं साहब के लिए क्या बनाऊं?" I'm like, उसको पूछो ना. I mean, why are you asking me? But they would not knock on his door to ask him, right? But they felt the freedom to ask me. And I laugh about it. You need to have a dark humor, and it is going to be that way.
It is.
And
and believe me, if they didn't ask you one day, also you would miss it. So yeah,
I don't know about that. Hasn't happened yet. I'm like, don't bother me. That hasn't happened yet. So I don't know if I'll miss it or not. But and school calls you, and everything is like that, right? And it is a fact. Largely. I remember Tara was 5 years old. She had chicken pox, so she can't go to daycare. Family was not close by. This was in US, and 2 weeks she has to be home. And these were 2 weeks when we were on a road show. So what do? And my mother-in-law, who also was always very proud of me, I said, Auntie, I just can't be home. So she took care of her. I was grateful, but I was also not guilty. I made a choice. I understand why I made my choices, right? So how do you teach girls to be proud of their choices and not let these structural guilts, expectations define them that isn't true to who and what they want to be, And it also takes a lot of mature conversations. It also takes give and take. It's not a one-way street where you are just receiving. And it takes a lot. And but if you want it, then you will have to figure out all those things.
So I think one is, of course, whether you're lucky or not to have the support systems, but the other is your ability to nurture those support systems. So you have to be a part of those support systems in both give and take, and you have to then take your life along with the support systems. The support systems will not exactly work 100% the way you want them to work. So that is the second part that the women have to realize, that you have to nurture your support systems.
And there is this misnomer, which I completely disagree, that lean in and you can have it all. Two words I absolutely hate. You can't have it all. And what does lean in mean? If I lean in out of this window, I'll fall and crack my head. So you can lean in if there's a safety net over there. What are you leaning into?
Exactly.
And if you're going to don't have a safety net, so you have to go create that safety net. So people talk about lean in, but they don't talk about how to create the safety net that allows you to lean in.
And the other thing is, talking about this having it all, I think my view is that for every moment, there is a specific priority. It's not all. But for life, it's all. So you choose a life where you want to make a great career, and you want to have a great family, and you want to be a great mother, a great wife, a great daughter-in-law, a great mother-in-law later.
A great community
member, everything. But at that point in time, if you've chosen to be on the roadshow in spite of your daughter having chickenpox, then the roadshow is your priority on that day. On another day, you may have chosen to miss a board meeting and sit with your child.
You can't
then that's your priority. So every moment has to be a specific priority, and then your life has to be wholesome. That's how you make your choices. But tell me, what is your, emotional getaway, in the sense that when there's too much pressure, you need that emotional quotient, you need that calmness. What do you revert to? I believe you do a lot of meditation, do you?
Everything is about perspective. Stress is a perspective. Somebody is stressed about traffic, somebody is not. If there's a lot of traffic, since I can't change anything, I go into my Kindle. So you have to find your mechanisms. Either you change, and what is it, the famous quote, change what you can, have the wisdom to accept what you can't change, right? So, and that's at the core of everything. But routines help you because the day starts, right? So they ground you. And I like routines because there is something comforting about routines, And so, I start my day with meditation, maybe do yoga or walk. I have a walking group. You create those systems, right? I have routines I almost always follow in the mornings, in the night before I go to bed, to anchor the days. So find routines that work for you, whatever that could be. I like to grow a lot of things. So a couple of hours on the weekend in my garden, all the stress goes away, All of us need to find something beyond just work, beyond just something that is the limelight of
responsibility.
spotlight and success that shifts your mind, right?
Yeah.
I read a lot. To me, it's gives me a lot, and I can take any stress and disappear in a book and come out an hour later.
So what's the latest book you're reading?
There is this book. It's called How Not to Die. So it has a lot, around our body, our food, and our mind. Because we always think mind is a separate engine than the body, and they both are interconnected very much, and they're interconnected to our lifestyle, which is food and lifestyle. And stress markers today are so high that you constantly see 30-year-olds getting heart attack, which there is no reason to, in a healthy lifestyle. So I like to explore many genres, but I have lot of interests outside of work, and I ask all our young people to have a lot of interests outside the work. I don't want them to be married to their work. That's no fun. That's not life.
And I think these interests outside your work keep giving you that, rejuvenating you towards the next day when you come to work.
It also allows you to laugh at the things that we make too big of life. Nothing is too big or too small, and you just have to have a little sense of humor to laugh at yourself and the situations that you can't control, and everything will change. That is the immutable law of universe, right?
So Vani, we now come to the last section of my episode, which is I'll ask you some quick questions. You give me impromptu answers, whatever first comes to your mind. So your prediction for India's startup scene, say in 2030, in few words.
I don't make predictions, but I can have desires and wishes. I would like to see India build for the world. We can. A lot of things do need to fall in place for it to happen. I'd like to see that in my lifetime.
An investment of yours which you are proudest of, maybe not in monetary terms, but for non-monetary reasons.
I don't know if your kids ever asked you. I never asked my mother, but my kids sometimes ask me, do you love me? Do you love her? Right? If the older one says, do you love me? Do you love her? I always say her. Because, because I'm not going to pander to that question, right? So then they shut up. Oh, this company, you like different founders, different companies for different reasons.
No, so the best way to kind of handle that issue is when you make both your children believe that you love them more.
I don't want them to love that much. I say, grow up, okay? If you don't already know it, my words aren't gonna help you. My mother never said she loves me. I knew it. If you don't know it, there's nothing I can do.
No, so you make them believe. So for both my children, they think they always only argue with each other that I'm the most favorite of mom, and the other one says, no, I'm the most favorite. So that's a very happy situation. Okay. What's the one, say, a controversial or an unpopular belief you hold about the startup ecosystem which might actually surprise people? Or something which is not known, or something which is not believed by people. They don't think that's true about the startup ecosystem.
We need stronger boards.
Okay.
And more emphasis on governance.
A habit that you're trying to give up?
I have a tendency sometimes to not sleep on time. That may not sound like the biggest vice, but for me, I battle that every day.
But while you say that, it may not sound like a vice, but I think sleep is very important. In fact, the 3 things for good health are right food, enough exercise, and sound sleep. A place in India where you would want to go off to for 6 months if you had the luxury of time.
I practice this heartfulness meditation where they have a very large center in Hyderabad. And I could go be there for 6 months and forget the rest of the world.
Oh, okay. And are you also fond of trekking?
We trek a lot, used to trek even more and backpack a lot. Unfortunately, we don't always aspire for common activities as a couple, but this is one that we both can do together and enjoy doing it together.
So your husband is your most favorite trekking partner?
Yeah, absolutely, because he'll
Okay.
carry more weight willingly and do all the things that I don't like doing while trekking.
And what's your favorite travel snack? What would you carry?
Something homemade always.
Okay.
And there is always too much junk that I want to avoid. So homemade protein balls, I mean, you name it. So there's always something homemade in my
Homemade
bag.
in your bag. And if you weren't a venture capitalist today, what do you think you would be exploring?
Architecture,
Yeah? Okay.
especially how are we gonna, as a human race, handle architecture in the context of climate change? We can't have this much glass, this much heating, this much air conditioning. In fact, my homes don't have air conditioning at all.
Okay.
And it's a question of architecture.
Okay.
If you go to Gwalior Fort, 800-year-old fort, you go
Yes.
to that down. It's wind, water, it's very cool. Old architectures understood that because they didn't have electrical means to do it. Air conditioning is neither good for your health nor for the environment. So there's a lot that has to change from how we live today as human beings and what that means from damage to the planet, which we don't think about, the concrete, steel, even those things. So, passive architectures that are energy neutral are not easy problems, but something we have to solve for.
Interesting. So a startup idea you wish someone would build?
I was in Chennai visiting my friend Professor Junjanwala, whom I respect and have a lot of affection for him also. Yeah. And he showed me what is still an idea right now. I think it was called Hapstick, something like that. So, which is going to change point-to-point mobility and create fast point-to-point personal mobility.
Oh.
Okay. I could sign up for that yesterday.
And the last one. What's harder, you think? The final kilometer of a marathon run or a closing of a funding round for an entrepreneur?
Final kilometer of the marathon run. Always. One, you're doing it alone and your body and mind is broken. Unless you do it, it's hard to explain what that means. You are constantly playing a mind game because it's all mental. At the end of the day, everything is the mind.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot harder. Closing a funding round, it's okay. There are lawyers, so you can pay them, but they can't run for you.
They
the
can't
last
run
mile.
for you. Yes. Well, Vani, it's been a pleasure to have this
Likewise,
conversation.
I'm glad we could do it.
Yeah.
I respect you a lot and glad we could get this time together.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think at the end of this conversation, I think what the audience takes away and would take away is something simple but something very profound. I think, you've kind of conveyed that every startup journey is a story of risk, resilience, and belief. Also, at the same time, success isn't about immediate returns. I think success is about conviction, success is about building for the long run. And I think I'm very impressed by your belief in India, your belief in innovation, your belief in investing in a very principled manner. So thank you for sharing your voice and your vision. And I really, really enjoyed this conversation.
I did too. Glad to